Good evening and welcome back to Paris. Tonight I meet the queen of fashion here, Sonia Rykiel. The actress Marisa Berenson joins me too for a night of glamour at the exclusive Ritz Hotel. My first guest tonight began his music career writing advertising jingles and pop songs for singers like Françoise Hardy. In the early 1970s, he developed complex electronic compositions which proved an instant hit. His first album, Oxygene, shooting to #1 across the world. He's entertained millions with his spectacular Sonne Lumiere concert performances here in Paris, in London and Tokyo, and he was the first Western pop star to perform after the Cultural Revolution in China. He's joined us tonight, Jean-Michel Jarre. Hello.
I'm very impressed by what I had just heard.
I'm glad you're impressed.
Did I really do all what you said?
Didn't you do all of what I said?
I
I think you did. I mean, you were the first guy into China, the first pop performer into China.
It's a very special souvenir. It was like playing on the moon. Just after Mao's time, it was really strange. I mean, all these people having no ideas about Charlie Chaplin or Camus or all what happened in the 20th century, or Kennedy or Mickey Mouse, Elvis Presley, the Beatles. They had no idea of anything of our culture, and but it's I will remember for the rest of my life the eyes of the young children, so young and so old in their souls, in their eyes.
And you put on this spectacular performance with lasers as well as music in China. And you went there with what in your head? When you thought, I'm going to China and I'm going to be the first one, what did you want to achieve? I mean, I know you achieved it, but what were you trying to get to there?
I suppose that when you are in that kind of situation is to respond like a sponge. I never wanted to come with anywhere with a preconceived idea, but rather than trying to confront cultures, to confront ideas, and to work with local artists also is what I tried to do with Chinese musicians, Chinese artists, and that was really the real idea, to try to create some contacts with Chinese artists being cut off for so long with the rest of the world.
But you're the only person in what you do. You go out there, and not only do you play your music, you also put on this show, which is, I mean, amazing. In Houston, in Texas, I think you're in the Guinness Book of Records for attracting the most number of people to an open-air event ever. I mean, don't you feel sometimes so tiny and so lost and so afraid of all of that?
And looking back, if the audience really came to me, or is it for something else? And I think that it proves that. I mean, in days we are more in contact with the rest of the world through TV screens, through computers. You can have Clinton, Madonna, or the Pope in your living room, but you can't talk to your neighbor next door. It seems that there is a need for a lot of people to gather and to experiment the same emotions at the same moment, live. With a one-off event. One-off event means something that's not going to be repeated like every 2 hours in any TV channel all over the world, but something that you can keep for yourself and keep for the rest of your life. I mean,
but as an artist, it takes out a tremendous amount of energy from you. To do this, to repeat it yourself in different parts of the world, in different cultures. I wonder where that comes from, that ability to be able to regenerate yourself, to have the idea.
I don't know. I think I always consider that creation, any kind of any form of art is linked with something that is not necessarily repeated, like the performance, the highest note of an opera singer, for instance, or the jump of an acrobat, or the performance, the moment, or it's like in sports. I mean, you can work during a runner. I always been fascinated by the 100 meters. When I used to run when I was a student, the 100 meters distance, and I love the idea, I always loved the idea of working 5 years or all a life for 10 seconds. I think this is what makes me, I mean, being in doing music or doing performances, is this, for this instant, for this moment, and a moment to share also.
When did you come to the realization that you wanted to do this kind of thing, to share, to have the instant, to have that burst of energy and creativity? You were born with a father who was extremely famous in the movie industry. You had to follow him, presumably, or you felt at an early stage that there he was in front of you, having achieved so much. How did you begin to nurture and know that you had a talent to do what you eventually achieved?
Oh, I hope that I never been conscious of that, if I have any. My father didn't influence me the way people think, because my parents split up when I was 5 years old, and my father always lived in America. I grew up with my mom in France, in Europe. And it was more abstract than anything else for me, the way he worked in this business. I discovered, obviously, this later on, but I was already, I think I made my mind when I was maybe 10 or 12 that I wanted to be a musician or painter. I started by painting also, and it's maybe the reason why I tried in my performances to integrate some visual elements, because I'm doing instrumental music. When you get rid of the singer, actually you have to fill this space, and I tried to replace the lyrics by architecture, environment, visual techniques, to try to create something that, if you think of it, maybe in the French tradition of the old outdoor kind of opera or son et lumière, as you said, it's something that is part of my genes, maybe.
Talking about genes, I mean the oxygene. I'm sorry about this. This is very good. Yes, it is. It's excellent. I'm really pleased. I'm pleased with myself too.
No, excellent.
Oxygene was instantly successful. I mean, for someone, I don't know how old you were then, but for someone to get that kind of acclaim at that age must have been great, of course, but also slightly sobering too, because you had to repeat it. You had to make sure that the next one was going to be just as successful, just as good. It's so hard when you're so young, isn't it?
It's the same old story. It's not instant for you, because it's instant for the audience, because suddenly they know you instantly. It's like the first movie, the first book, the first of a writer, of a movie maker making a success. It's sometimes a long process. I always had this idea when I was studying classical music, and when I used to play with rock bands, of a kind of music that could match the various ingredients, and that could be in the classical scene. And I've been really impressed and excited by all this new range of electronic instruments, allowing me to be my own craftsman. I mean, like when you are when you are cooking or when you are painting. I mean, being able to create your own colors, your own spices. And so I think that really it was then something that I tried before. I mean, I released 2 or 3 records before Oxygen that didn't work over the end of my street. And suddenly Oxygen worked the way you said, and then you enter in the business, and then you have a lot of people suddenly being very interested about you and about what you're doing. And then you have to follow what they call a career, and it's up to you to follow this and to decide until when and until where you're ready to follow the system. And I tried to not to follow this too much by doing other kind of things like performances, like projects with theater, with cinema, and not following the kind of classic format of traditional format of a rock star.
You're so much on your own. I mean, this is what is so outstanding about you, that you have to write and you have to compose and you have to be a businessman and you have a family to take care of, all of these things, and you are very unique.
Like anybody, I think.
No, but most men, family men, yes,
Yeah.
but unique in that you have that responsibility as well. I mean, I remember that you went to Docklands in London, and we were all waiting for it, and of course it
was
rained.
a real opera, this
Yes.
one. Yeah.
And
I mean,
it
with all
rained.
the previous difficulties, I mean, it became a kind of civic event with people supporting the event, and then what was planned for a late summer concert became an early autumn concert, what means what changed a lot in your country.
Mm-hmm. Like rain, like
Yes, absolutely.
hours of it, and it turned out to be a disaster, didn't it, for you personally,
Yeah,
financially?
I would say yes and no, because the whole process, I mean, it has been really hard, and I mean, all the business side was not my responsibility, but the responsibility of the promoters. But I mean, in terms of event and artistically, the fact that so many difficulties were around, I mean, it ended, and you see this in the film. I don't know if you saw the film of this event. I mean, having the rain, pouring rain on the stage with the choir, with a classical orchestra with safety jackets, playing cellos and violins. I mean, it ended in kind of Wagnerian type of mood. What created something very, very special.
Mm-hmm. So in your mind, it's still that special event for you?
Oh yes, absolutely.
I see. Oh, interesting. I felt it might be
Absolutely,
different
and
for you.
the mass, all been moved on stage by the audience. I mean, staying for hours under the pouring rain. I mean, even for a British audience, it's quite unusual.
It's very unusual.
We've been really moved by that.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a little bit about Charlotte. We were talking to her yesterday about her life and what she's been through, about her depression. And she said, I don't want to dwell on it for you, but I'd like to know how hard, in the middle of all of this, when you have to go out there and be all kinds of things to all different people, at home, at the heart of your life, you had this enormous problem which went on apparently for years and years.
The difficulty with all these kind of problems is when you are breaking your arm. I mean, everybody complains because they see it's spectacular. When you are something inside, hidden, I mean, a lot of people have the tendency not recognizing that it's something that you have to take care of exactly like diabetes or like a broken arm. And this is why it creates a kind of, I would say, a kind of confusion or a kind of misunderstanding with the rest of the group.
No, she's feeling much better, thankfully, isn't she?
Yeah,
now?
absolutely.
It's great. Before you go, what's the thing that most excites you at the moment in your work? What is it that you're planning
Apart
next?
from TV interviews, you mean?
Absolutely. Apart from all of this.
I mean, being able to see the end of the millennium. I mean, in the middle of and probably, I mean, through my work as ambassador of UNESCO, being able to and trying to fight for tolerance and for peace, not in a 70s way of considering peace, but really in the street, in a practical way. I mean, as an artist, being able to help as much as I can of helping the idea of tolerance. If I can help a little bit in this area, I think I'll be happy about that.
Jean-Michel Jarre, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's take a break, and then coming up after that, the renowned beauty, the actress, and another UNESCO ambassador, Larissa Berenson.